Things are starting to break in not only the crypto markets, but traditional markets as well. And I'm definitely worried for the next 48 hours. I'm going to show you exactly why in today's show. Make sure you smash the like button, hit the bell notification, and subscribe to the channel. Let's have a look over here. Banter bubbles, most of the coins coming down. You would have noticed if you had a look at your charts, a lot of the price action came back down towards those lows. It hasn't swept the liquidity yet. Is there a double bottom in play? Of course, in the short term, there's always a possibility for that. We'll have a look at all these things in today's show. We definitely need to focus as well on the stock market, which is now coming down even more, right? So we'll see when the stock market opens later on today, if it is going to sweep those lows. You had a lot of retail buyers stepping in once again, which is typical, right? We spoke about this when it came to the stock market. Too many retail buyers coming in suggested that there was a chance that things were going to sweep down one more time. And now we're having quite a dangerous situation within the markets. Something is starting to break, right? We're seeing the 30-year yield starting to climb, 10-year yield starting to climb as well. And it shows a disorderly liquidations as per the tweet over here from Jim. If you look at that 3-day rate of change over here, when you start to spike up like this aggressively within the bond market and the yields, it shows possibly forced liquidations taking place, not human managers making decisions, but forced liquidations within the market. And the last time that we saw something like this was actually in 1982. The good news is that it was very, very, very close to a bottom, right? You can see you spent a couple of months, of course, going down, but price-wise, the stock market only then went down about another 15%. Remember, when the stock market goes down 20%, they call that a technical bear market. So theoretically, the stock market has already done that. It's just a question of, are you going to get another 20% towards the downside, and will crypto play catch up, right? That's what we're all looking at. It's a game of cat and mouse between Donald Trump, China in the trade wars, and then, of course, looking as well to Jerome Powell, which we're still trying to decide. Is Jerome Powell and Donald Trump friends or enemies? I'm not even sure yet, right? We'll have to see over here. But you got the 10-year yields again spiking over there. You can see S&P 500 coming towards the downside. Generally speaking, when the yields go up, risk on assets go down. It's pretty much as simple as that, right? So price is coming down. Why the next 48 hours so important? Well, we spoke about that yesterday as well. We are going to be coming up on Thursday into the core CPI, year-on-year, month-on-month data, as well as the PPI, which is one of the Fed's better, at least things that they look at in terms of determining what to do with the interest rates. Will their hand be forced to cut interest rates, right? We're going to see very, very, very soon. It's absolutely crazy what's going on over here. I see one comment very, very quickly over here. Hash ribbons indicator failed. Let's have a look at that. We'll have a look at that today. Has the hash ribbons indicator failed? Let me quickly see on my other chart if I can pull that up for you. Do I have it somewhere over here? I think I do. Has it failed? Has it failed? Let's quickly immediately address that, right? Immediately, since we're on the topic. Has it failed? And the answer is yes, it's failed, right? It hasn't led into a capitulation signal, but as per the hash ribbons indicator over here, the buy signal, when you do get that buy signal, which did print over here, what you would expect is that the prior low that was formed, there we go, the prior low that occurred before the buy signal printed, you can breach that low, but you should not close a daily candle below that low. Have you closed a daily candle below that low? The answer is yes, you have, right? Daily candle closed below the low. Yes, it failed. I think it's got something like 20 times that this is printed, 17 success rates, 3 failures. Now you can put this into the failure bucket, right? So let's close that chart. It's failed, right? Anyway, it doesn't mean that it's all over yet, right? There is going to be bounces along the way, but the probability is increasing more and more each and every single day. As you look at the high time frame charts, that there's a chance. There's a chance. Actually, let me not answer that question yet. You go to the poll. You go to the poll and you let me know. There is a poll that's running right now. Go to that poll. Serious question. And this is a serious question. I'm asking you guys seriously. Are we in a bull market or are we in a bear market? Please vote. Go over there. Everybody go there and vote right now. While you're voting, please go and smash the like button. Look at that. Only 38. Let's quickly do a refresh over there. Give me a like over there. It helps to get the show content out there. Okay, we got 246 likes and all go vote. So what do you think? Bull market or bear market? bull deeper correction coming. The top's in at the start of a bear market, or you don't know, you're just following me, and I'll let you know what to do. So vote over there. Look, at the end of the day, there is trouble on the horizon, right? There are some crazy things that are happening. Retail investors keep piling in, exactly like I said, and consequently, the market could dump further, right? Because you need to take those players out. They're starting to bail out of their positions, and here's the stock market. And I guess let's just go spoiler alert to the final poll over there. Are we in a bull market or bear market? There really is a possibility that this is the start of the bear market. You have to open up the possibility to that. There's one or two conflicting things. One is the ETH BTC chart. We're going to have a look at that today. You're not going to see altcoins rally if you're in a bear market. And of course, with Bitcoin dominance rising and reaching that 66-67% target, if that does start to break down, well, typically it's not going to break down in a bear market. Another thing that we have to look at as well is the ETH BTC chart, which is showing some very, very, very important things, right? So we'll have a look at that in today's show. Let's just quickly scale this over here, and let's get into it. Okay, so retail buyers are still stepping in over here, so they could get flashed one more time. I spoke about that where I said, watch for this key area over here. I wouldn't be surprised to see these lows swept from the stock market. So let's just quickly pull that up. Which lows am I talking about? These lows over here. I wouldn't be surprised to see those lows swept. We'll put that in red. Why? Well, every time we do get quite a lot of panic within the stock market, you oftentimes will see price sweep the 200-week moving average. You can see it happened over there in August. It happened, of course, again in COVID. It happened again over here in December 2018, which was also your crypto bear market lows. And it's happened multiple times before that, right? There's 2016 as well. So therefore, there is a possibility that you sweep that. We're seeing the VIX spike up again, right? The volatility index is rising once again. You're now getting back above that 52 mark, right? We know that every time the VIX spikes up into these high levels, you do find major lows within the stock market. But there is a lot of things going on over here right now. Usually what has happened is when we see the VIX above 45 for 3 days in a row like we have today, then you can actually look what happens a couple of days later, right? And you'll see the VIX then does usually start to drop, right? If you want to look at what the stock market does a couple of days later, well, this is what it looks like. If you're having a further outlook like a year later, very, very, very high probability if you just blindly buy over here, a year later, everything is going to be towards the upside in the stock market and the turmoil would have blown over. But of course, we want to be a little bit more precise than that on this channel, right? We're looking to enter the market with precision. Otherwise, what's the point of doing this each and every single day? We could just be investors, put our money in, walk away, and come back a couple of years later, right? So 24-hour liquidations, relatively low compared to what we saw 2 or 3 days ago where we got those billion-dollar marks. Now we're sitting at about 415 million, 300 of those million coming out of long liquidations. The daily exchange volume is attempting to turn a corner over here, but it's still by the definition a downtrend with lower lows and lower highs. And ETH BTC has dropped once again over the last 12 hours. It dropped almost 15%. So you're seeing absolute pandemonium and panic within the altcoin sector over here. And the question is, when will there be some relief, right? Usually when the pain is the worst is usually the point where things start to reverse. And there are some signs that that could take place, right? I know it's a little bit of wishful thinking, and I've told you guys to wait for the break of structure. Pretty much the break of structure now is going to be getting back above this breakdown point, which is 0.0215. Remember, yesterday we weren't certain of that yet. So we had the break of structure, and we said your clearance level that ETH BTC is going to start to turn a corner and reverse towards the upside would be if it got above 0.024. I think you can lower that target down now based on the breakdown that occurred yesterday. And this is going to be your new underside resistance at that exact breakdown level, which means, again, get back above 0.022. And then maybe you're starting to reverse things. And also, I do want to mention, on the ETH BTC chart, when you look on a super high time frame like the monthly scale, you can utilize a couple of different things to determine when a move is getting overheated, right? Number one, you can look at things like the expansion of the Bollinger Bands, the Bollinger Band width percentile. It's something that I discussed in Whale School, and ultimately looking for extreme moves. The other thing that you can look at is you can look at also trend exhaustion, which is often found by something called the TD sequential 9 count, right? When you get 9 consecutive candles in a row, you print a TD sequential, which you've now printed on a monthly scale, while simultaneously ETH comes into that order block over here, which is all the way from 2019. It's almost hard to believe that this is the current state of ETH. ETH is back to levels that it was in 2019 before leading into the bull run at the bear market lows, right? That's the ETH BTC ratio, not the ETH USD pair, but the strength of ETH against Bitcoin is back to those levels, right? So it shows that you need to look at the charts. It shows that you need to be calculated and you need to be fluid and have the ability to move in and out of positions, because if you're hard-headed and you've held ETH for, 6 years, you break even, right? You break even against Bitcoin over there, which is an absolutely terrible trade. But you're coming into an order block on a TD9 sequential on a monthly scale. So I wouldn't be surprised if you told me next month ETH is trading a little bit higher than this. It doesn't necessarily mean a full-on V-shaped reversal, although you are coming off of a parabolic curve, right? If you inverse this chart over here, this would be a parabolic curve towards the upside. It's now a parabolic curve towards the downside. When parabolas break, they typically move around 70 to 80%, right? So that could put in some serious moves towards the upside over here against the Bitcoin pair. So I'll be keeping all eyes on Ethereum as it comes into these key levels over here, looking for any signs of a reversal. I guess that's your one little bit of hopium, right? Your one bit of hopium is that if ETH somehow puts in a bid over here, then maybe the bull market is not over and we're going through a massive, call it, it's not a mid-cycle, but within the cycle major correction, right? A big shakeout. But Bitcoin looks bad on the high time frames, right? Absolutely, it looks bad. I'll show you why in just a minute, right? If we look at the ETH short-term bubble risk chart, you are literally back to where all those bear market lows have been formed, right? When you take all of this off and we put on there we go, 0.5 to 0.75, you can see you printing back on this chart where those lows are. Now, this considers a whole bunch of different metrics, right? So if the bull market is to continue, it could be one of the best buys ever on Ethereum, right? I would personally wait for a break of structure. And of course, again, for those of you that watch the shows each and every single day, and those of you that are in whale room, I will let you know if there is that trend shift and we do start to allocate towards ETH. But I think while everybody's looking the other way, you should pay attention to these things, right? If we go quickly to Bitcoin in terms of its bubble risk, well, it's coming down into the light blue. Remember, dark blue is where you get the best value and usually finding some sort of a major bottom within the market. Let's quickly see the total cryptocurrency market cap as well, also in light blue. So ETH definitely getting hit a lot harder, right, than the rest of the coins out there. So if you are going to be looking to buy any of these coins, or at least wait for the break of structure, remember, guys, there's a great opportunity over here with Bank where you can actually spin the wheel. Remember, this is exclusive only to me. You won't find this anywhere else in the world. I arranged this especially for you guys where you can win 1 ETH. So if ETH is going to reverse, you have a chance to win 1 ETH pretty much for free, right? It's very easy to reach these trading volumes. Everything is listed below. So you need to sign up to that link in the description below over here on Bank. Once you've done that, make a small deposit, take a couple of trades over there, very small amount of trades, and it shows you how you can get additional spins, right? Spins to win over here. And then you can win 1 Sol, 1 ETH, 10 Doge, 5 Cardano, 5 𝗪𝗎, etc. Basically, you're guaranteed to win something. Cool. Let's continue. Now let's have a look at the total cryptocurrency market cap, total 1, 2, 3, as well as others. And we can see in relation to the fib retracement levels where it's at. How bad are things really, right? And the answer is they're pretty bad. But this is theoretically a zone where you would be looking for a reaction on the total cryptocurrency market cap. And you can see that it is trying to hold support over there in the golden pocket at 2.4 trillion. If it does lose that level, your next important zone that you're going to be focusing on over here, and let's just quickly drop that to the bottom because otherwise I can't see this properly. Wait 1 second. Why? Oh, it's the red one. There we go. That is what's causing us problems. Let's just make that a bit smaller. There we go. You got your 0.786 coming in at 2.13 trillion, right? So a very important next level. Unfortunately, if you do get to that 0.786 fib retracement level, it would mean, however, that you've hit through the dead zone and you've also broken this upsloping trend line, which you've already seen on total 2. So therefore, that could lead to a bounce. And then the question is there underside resistance on that bounce? If so, pretty much that's where you say it's probably the end of the crypto cycle, right? So we'll take it one step at a time. That is total 1. Here's total 2. Total 2's already lost all those key levels. It's already broken below that 0.786. And remember, total 2's weighting is determined by removing Bitcoin. So it's looking at all the other altcoins as well as Ethereum. And because Ethereum is down so bad, that's one of the reasons this is getting knocked so heavily, right? Total 3, similar to total 1, finding support at that golden pocket, attempting to close over there. We got a couple of days left for the weekly close. We'll see how the weekly looks. I think this weekly candle is going to provide massive amounts of information as to what comes next, right? If it does lose that level, then your next level to look at is 614. But remember, this is a strong downtrend, and therefore you're probably better off waiting for a bottom to form, right? You don't need to catch the bottom. You just need to wait for a bottom to form and to see some signs of strength and reversals coming in over there. All right, if we look at others, others has pretty much already lost that level. So let's quickly pull up the fib zones once again and measure from the lows. This is from the August lows where Bitcoin went to 49K and then all the way to the highs. And you can see pretty brutal, already smashing straight through that 0.786. And now you're pretty much looking at your next major supports, which are going to be coming back towards where that wick low is, about 155 billion, down to about 133 billion. I can pretty much just may as well mark it off in the chart for you guys right now. This is the area of interest, right? This is your next zone that you're looking at for major support, but you've broken that trend line. So there are some dangerous signs over here, right? We know that price is below the 21 weekly exponential moving average, which is one of our bull market guides. If it's above and it's angled up, it's a bull market. If it's below and it's angled towards the downside, it could be a bear market. It's not always, but it could be the start of a bear market, right? We need to take things as they come into next support levels, and Bitcoin's next support, depending on the time frame of when this level hits, is going to be, anywhere between about $64,000 and up to about $73,000, right? So we're taking it step by step. That is major key support. Again, others and total 2 has already theoretically broken the equivalent of Bitcoin's major trend line down, right? You've lost those levels. And that's important, right? It's important to focus on that. So we'll see what happens next when it comes into that level. I've drawn this as conservatively as possible, considering, these touch points over here without breaking the wicks of the candle. Theoretically, you could go with something like this, right? But I'm giving the bulls the absolute benefit of the doubt. And if you do, I would draw it like that, giving them a little bit more room or breathing space, right? So this chart has kept us relatively safe. We're still waiting for it to hit into that key level. The bulls remain incredibly stubborn, trying to hold prices up, and very similar to the stock market, retail money keeps coming in, right? They keep trying to buy the dip. They're still in that mentality, buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. Go and look at crypto Twitter. That is the state of crypto Twitter, right? But slowly but surely, each bull is capitulating, right? Slowly but surely. We haven't seen enough. Usually you'll find those major bottoms when the majority of the bulls capitulate, and it starts to get more aggressively weighted on the bearish side. I don't think we're at that point yet, right? I would say that we're probably at about 30% bears, 70% still bulls calling for buy the dip across crypto Twitter as well as YouTube, right? Okay, cool. So we're looking at that over there. We're still below all the the volume areas over here that are acting as resistance. We haven't perfectly hit the fair value gap. This is not necessarily the exact zone that price will find support, but it's just the first area of interest at 72,000, right? Then we can look to 68,000. And then after that, you can start to go to a little bit more scary low levels. And the bullish hopium case is this, right? And I'm not even saying that this will necessarily play out, but this is your bullish hopium case, is that this is a falling wedge formation coming into that key support into the fair value gap, which is situated right over here. And that's going to find you support and bounce price out of here. But there's no guarantee. You are trading counter the trend, right? This is a counter trend move. The trend is down. We've got the bearish cross between the 50 and 200 moving average over here. And therefore, the hopium case is that you find support into this box over here, right? So you find support somewhere in here. I wouldn't bid a second before that. You're looking for a move into there. And then you're looking for the bounce or the relief rally into the death cross, right? And then we see what this chart is made of, right? So it would look something like this. Keep in mind the falling wedge pattern over there, something like this, and then a rally up into the death cross, which could theoretically still reject price over there into the $85,000 to $86,000 region. So that is the current state of affairs. That's what we're looking at over there. If you can break and hold above this, then amazing. You can consider this the biggest bear trap of all time and the best buying opportunity. But I think it's incredibly unlikely. If you want my honest opinion, I think that as soon as you come back into the zone over here, you're going to reject. And that basically would set in the next move towards the downside, which could drop you low 60s, high 50s, and then we reevaluate from there, right? So one step at a time, one step at a time. That's what we're looking at. You are seeing the potential for a bit of a short squeeze in the very, very short term over here, because theoretically you have come into key support, right? If you are focusing on this area over here, right? If you're having a look at this area over here, let's just quickly clean that up. 1 second, guys. This is Velo charts, which operates a little bit differently. There we go. Let's just quickly, it's easier if I just draw this in. There we go. This is your underside resistance, 1 over there. And is it still working? There we go. And we got that over there as your major support. So theoretically, you've come into major support. Have a look at this, while simultaneously printing, and let's turn off the magnet. There we go. While simultaneously printing over there negative funding with rising open interest, right? So if the open interest is rising and shorts are building up positions into key support, usually you would look for at least a little bit of a relief. So watch for the funding to, or at least for the open interest to drop over here. As the open interest drops, you'd expect price is probably going to spike up. How high could it go? It could theoretically make it to the top of this trading range over here, which will give you another opportunity to open another short trade, right? So still you have the downtrending move over here, right? So keep an eye out on the downtrending move. If price comes up into that key zone, and we'll delete that quickly, which is going to be here. There we go. If price comes up towards this candle over here, watch for the rejection just under $80,000. And also, I'm just noticing, you could easily start to print on the short time frame. This is on the hourly time frame. Watch out over the course of today and tomorrow, leading into the CPI. There's a possibility that you're going to be printing a descending triangle. Remember, these descending triangles do have measured moves, right? So you can see over that it's starting to look like that could form a descending triangle, right? Equal lows but lower highs. The descending triangle would have a measured move towards the downside, which I'll work out for you right now. Let's see where that takes you. And if this does break down at a later date, this is a bit preemptive, but I still think it's something to look at. And let's throw on very, very quickly, where is our price label? I'm not used to using this. Okay, I'm just going to mark it off for you over here. It is $66,000, right? $66,000 would be the level to watch for. Let's just see quickly. I need to get it. Now I've committed. There it is. There's the price label. I've committed to it. There we go. So that would be the level. Okay, $66,000. There's a real possibility that you drop down into that zone. So you got to keep an eye out on that, right? Open interest rising, short squeeze towards the upside, creating a lower high. That's pretty much the short-term plan of action over the course of today, leading in tomorrow. Maybe you hit $79,000. Reload your short trades. You can short trade that all the way down to about $66,000, right? We have been taking the trades, right? We've been crushing it over there in Whale Room. This is one of our Whale Room traders with a short on Fartcoin, and you can see the members are up, right? The members are up over here. So if you're not in Whale Room, jump into Whale Room. There's a link in the description below that will take you there. Also, follow the Whale Room Twitter account, right? We do giveaways every now and then. All you have to do is keep an eye out on the tweets. Every time a tweet comes out, if it comes with a code, quickest fingers first, whoever can get access to that code and go through to the WAP platform, you can actually get free access into Whale Room. Okay, so spot is bidding over here in the short term. Leverage is bidding in the short term. So I expect that short squeeze to play out over there. USDT dominance still rising over here. We haven't perfectly hit our ultimate target. I would like to see it, moving into the pink box over here, but it is finding resistance at that midline. You can see those rejective candles over there, right? So expect, a little bit of a downside move. Bitcoin moves up just sub $80,000 after the short squeeze. So short squeeze takes price up to about 79, $80,000, sets in a lower high, and then you're going to probably get your next big spike up over there. If Bitcoin goes to $60,000, you know, maybe you see something as high up as that, right? Into the top, deviate this level, that probably becomes at least a short-term buy. Okay, so that's what we're looking at over there. Also, again, you're going to be met with a lot of resistance over here. Yesterday, this was the level to reclaim. We said if you can start to break above the blue box over here, then we would start to look to at least consider getting bullish. That is $83,000 in the short term, right? Bullish in the short term. Otherwise, it's trend continuation and bearish. I'm going to stick with this same level, right? Although, remember, there is going to be underside resistance over here now, which is what I just highlighted to you on the Velo charts. And that's going to be coming into that area, which does meet with the 50 EMA on the 4-hour time frame. But I prefer to take a little bit of a more conservative approach, which means I'll still stick with this level, right? If I saw something like that, reclaim of $83,000, maybe there's an opportunity over there. So bears are still in control, but there is a chance for a short squeeze in the very, very, very short term, right? Okay, we can have a look at some of the altcoins. Let me know in the comment section. Just drop your altcoins if there is anything that you want to have a look at over there. Let's probably look at ETH. ETH's an important one to look at. So you can see you have swept Monday low, right? Very, very, very interesting. This is a very interesting chart to look at because you've swept Monday low. There's been a little bit more of a capitulation over here on ETH, and this has hit one of our areas of interest. So it's come into key support over there. You haven't got a break of structure. You'd have to get back above Monday's high in the short term to break structure on ETH to suggest that even maybe somehow things are starting to shift. And really similar to Bitcoin getting above $83,000, that's the level that you want to reclaim, which is actually your previous month's low, 1,800, right? So that's going to be major resistance at 1,800. Okay, what else have we got? Let me know in the comments. Okay, 𝗪𝗏𝗡. Yeah, let's have a look at 𝗪𝗏𝗡. I remember at one point that chart was looking absolutely terrible. Does it look worse is the question. We can have a look at this. So most of the alts would have been obliterated, and it has, right? We spoke about this so many times, how bearish this looked. It looked absolutely terrible. And, you know, this is the equivalent, by the way, this is the equivalent of Bitcoin's. What is that level? Let me just give it to you exactly. Let's not make things up over here. This is the equivalent to Bitcoin's $66,000 level on 𝗪𝗏𝗡, right? Bitcoin 66K level. 𝗪𝗏𝗡 was over there, put in the big rally. You've now given up all of those gains, right? You've broken below all of those levels, right? So this is in absolute free fall, and it does look to me like it's probably going to sweep the lows at $3.81. Is that the all-time lows, at least on this chart on Binance? That's pretty much the all-time lows. Very, very, very bearish, right? The only way that our alts run, or your alts run, I don't have any alts, the only way that your alts run, if you're holding altcoins, is if they move into quantitative easing, right? And there's a spillover effect, right? Remember, we need to see the M2 money supply increasing at a greater rate than the global liquidity. That shows that there's a spillover effect. Until that happens, it's very, very difficult for these altcoins to run. Okay, let's see. NEAR. There's NEAR. Pretty similar, right? It's given up the equivalent of Bitcoin's $66,000 level, which led to the entire move up. So straight through that, you know, could this make it all the way down to the range lows? $1.24. Absolutely, it's possible, right? Solana, you know, now you're going to see if it does actually put in a bounce over here. What is it made of into this resistance level? This is lower lows and lower highs, and your next major resistance level is going to be over here. Yellow box over there. It might reject even before getting into the next major resistance on a high time frame. So all of this is resistance, resistance, resistance for Solana. You have a lot of trap traders right now, tons and tons of trap traders, right? We've had a look at SUI, still looks bad, but it is coming into a very, very key level. We said, you know, anywhere between about 164 and current levels is an opportunity at least for a relief rally, and then you can reevaluate to see what happens over there. Remember, we opened up those grid trades on this where it's going to be selling just above if you do get that spike. WIF, we can have a look at WIF. Yes, I would imagine that this also looks pretty shocking, right? Let's have a look at WIF. So there it is. Okay, WIF, yep, straight down, right? Is that the all-time chart? Let's have a look at the other one. That is on Binance. Let's see the Mexi one. Dog with hat on Mexi. Okay, this one we got a bit more price issue over here, but pretty much giving up absolutely everything. So is it going to sweep this low? I would say probably yes. Probably yes. So there it is. That's the low. 28 cents. I think it's probably going to sweep that low. And then, you need to reevaluate to see how it reacts at these next levels like 17. Okay, so it's brutal out there. It's brutal out there, guys. Be very, very careful. Let's have a look at Mantra, which was actually one of the strongest coins out there. But even Mantra is rolling over. Has it come to the end of its trend? I think the answer is yes, right? I spoke about this at the time when I said that it's created the break of structure over here. Remember, we had been maintaining that higher high and higher low structure. And this was really the last level coming in at $7.12. As soon as you started to break below that, on this candle, you properly breached it. That would mean $6.80. I said there's a possibility that this thing rolls over. Your next bet or hope is that it holds the fair value gap over here, which it came into. You started to get a bit of a reaction out of there, and now it's rolled through that, which means, this trend's probably also come to its end, which means your next major supports are going to be coming all the way down here, even on Mantra, right? So it's pretty brutal. It's brutal out there. That's why you need to be careful. Even something that's been one of the best performers could drop another 32% quite easily over here. Okay. So I know I don't have any bullish news for you today. I do apologize. I do apologize for those of you that were hoping for that. But we need to take things as they come. The trends are down. There is a lot of trap traders. All right. If you do want to trade, though, again, guys, remember, check out Altbank because you can spin the wheel to win over there. There are a few other things I wanted to mention as well. 𝗪𝗁𝗔𝗍𝗃 is coming out with their launch very, very, very soon. This is probably one of the best trading wallets. They've recently just partnered with Kraken, which is one of the most reputable exchanges out there in the space. 𝗪𝗁𝗔𝗍𝗃 allows you to move cross-chain, right? So have a look at that if you are interested. And also, guys, stay protected. Stay protected with a NordVPN. Keep your coins safe, right? I really think during these times, you also want to diversify your stable coins a little bit. Keep some, spread across different exchanges. Keep some on a ledger. Keep diversified during these times and stay protected as well with a VPN. All right, let's see. What else? What else have we got, guys? Goku. Goku is at 2 million. I mean, I can tell you that's what the chart looks like. I looked yesterday. I still hold my Goku. Why? Because I'm kind of like the Goku ambassador. I got in. I was one of the first people in. It's not worth me selling these things because I've got more to lose than to gain if I sell them. It was always a calculated bet. It's either hero or zero. I would have only been able to sell Goku if it reached over like $100 million market cap. It's now 2 million. What do we get to? Something like $30 million market cap. Okay. I got more to lose because of, people will say that I pumped and dumped on them. So I hold all my Goku tokens. Okay. What else? ONDO. Let's have a look at ONDO, actually. Yes. Part of the real world asset sector. Let's see. Terrible. Straight down, right? I haven't looked at any of these charts for a very, very long time. Your strong horizontal support is going to be coming down into this region over here. Okay. That is going to be your major range low. So still a bit more downside. Let's see. This is about, you can see another 20% or so before you hit that key support. How far would that have come down? So currently, this has dropped 65%. This could drop as far as like 75%. And then, yes, you'll probably put in a massive relief bounce, right? With a lot of these things, you've broken this trend line as well. There's a big shift that's taking place over here. But, you could see huge relief rallies like that, right? And that's a pretty sizable move. I think you'll double your money on a move like that. So in the coming days and weeks, 100% moves are on the table, right? It's going to happen. Matic. Where is Matic? Does Matic even exist anymore? Let's have a look. Sandeep's Matic. Is it alive? Do I even have it on the list over here? Okay, let's have a look at Matic quickly. Polygon Matic, USDT. I'm very curious what this one looks like. So there it is. Unbelievable. Straight down. Absolutely brutal. What an alt season, guys. What an alt season that was. I mean, talking about the trend, that could have kept you pretty safe, right? Every major top that you had was a macro lower high. And it's been brutal, absolutely brutal, straight down for Matic. Okay, Link, we can have a look at Link. I was once upon a time a Link Marine, just for those of you that didn't know that. This was once upon a time my favorite coin. And then I started to learn that it's really terrible to become religious with tokens. I managed to get out with major profits, but I could have come out with much more. We took the trade over here as well. Do you guys remember that? This was the power of 3 trade with the small sweep below there. There we go. That was the low. We swept the low. We traded up over here. We sold at $20. It went to $22.85. Amazing. And now it's come all the way back down. So you had major key support over here. This is a key horizontal level. There it is. You're coming into that key horizontal. You obviously don't want to deviate this level. So I would just trade this as a range. It's really as simple as that. If it starts to reclaim the trading range and hold successfully above these levels, really the level to reclaim is if you can get above I would want to get above the breakdown level. Really, for most charts, you want to get above this breakdown level over here. So if you can get back above the breakdown level, you'll probably put in a high low like this. You'd get a big move up. You'd still probably come back down and get your entry over here. And then you can just trade it as a range back towards the top side. Okay, so it's a memorial for the altcoins. This is a memorial session for the altcoins. They're dead. They are quite literally dead. Will there be a resurrection is the question. Well, that's up to the Fed, right? Which is why these meetings are so important. It's not the meeting yet, but the CPI reads and the PPI reads will, affect what the Fed is going to do. And we'll find out soon if Jerome Powell and Donald Trump are friends or enemies. We'll find out very, very, very soon. Okay, SPX 6900, the coin that is meant to flip the stock market. Let's have a look. Has it flipped the stock market yet? SPX 6900. Okay, on a daily time frame, it looks like the answer is no. This has not yet flipped the stock market. From highs to lows, it did 85% correction, and currently it's 76% down. Okay, would I call this a reversal? Look, there's not enough chart history on this one. Would need to pull up a chart with more history. I don't know if there is one because 𝗥𝗢𝗢 usually launches first, but based on the information that we have over here, this was a very, very key level. So watch to see if it can reclaim 46 cents at the least, right? But new swing lows, and pretty much is this lower highs, and it's going to come down for another swing low. Only time will tell. One thing that I can tell you is, Bitcoin is put in on a closing basis, an even lower close, right? So if we have a look at this, there it is, the lowest close of the year. So there's our January. It's the lowest close of the year. You want to see that trend begin to shift before you can start to get excited. This is just simply lower lows and lower highs, right? We had a moment of hope over there when the volume spiked towards the upside, but it's not enough. We need to see sustained volume coming in and then to break above all of these resistance areas. So you can see I've been marking off the resistance areas throughout. We can now, I guess, move that to 88 if you want to get aggressive, get above the breakdown level over here at about 84, and things will start to look better. All right, cool. Let me know if there's anything else, guys. But I think we've been through all the altcoins. Really, the one to watch is Ethereum. Ethereum coming into key support over here. If it loses that, my goodness, then you're talking about 2016 levels. Back to the ETH BTC ratio in 2017 before the altcoin season, or the end of 2016, right? That's the kind of levels that you can start to retrace at that point. What would that be from here to here? You're looking at like another 50% down. In terms of taking out the lows, also just to give you a percentage from current levels, your risk would be, call it 15%. So, if you just decide you want to take a risky long trade on ETH BTC over here, you can pretty much stop out underneath this candle, which is 15% risk. Risk to reward, that would make sense, right? Because you'd be trading it all the way up here into the underside resistance at about 0.049. All right. So I think, is there anything else? What else? Let me know what else. Let's quickly check your votes. Quickly go back to your votes. Guys, smash the like button as well. 58% of you still believe that it's a bull market. It's just a deeper correction that's currently happening. And the 20% of you think that the top is in. So time will tell. Look, for Bitcoin, it looks pretty bad on the high time frames, like the monthly, the 3-week, the 2-week. There's a lot of reversing that needs to be done to shift things. Your hopium is that BTC dominance is nearing what you would expect would be a top. ETH BTC is nearing what you would expect to be a major key point on a TD sequential 9 buy on a monthly, while hitting monthly order block support. And if you do get some sort of a mean reversion or reversal within either the BTC dominance or the ETH BTC pair, that might like ignite some sort of hopium, right? So that's it from me, guys. I'll see you all on the next one. Make sure you do jump into Whale Room if you're not already in there. Follow the Whale Room Twitter page as well, so you can get the giveaways, and then also go play around on the Spin the Wheel on L Bank. I'll see you all on the next one. Have a lovely, lovely day, guys, and cheers for now.